Alright, let's have a look. How's that? Okay, hello everybody. Today I'm going to teach you all about how to play Katarina in Tekken 7. Now before we jump into the gameplay and I show you the moveset proper, I just felt like I wanted to talk a little bit about this character because she has kind of a weird reputation about her in this game. Mainly people who use Katarina absolutely love her and she's much beloved by her player base, and then people who don't use her tend to find her kind of cheap and frustrating. And so if you're one of those people who don't like playing against Katarina, I just initially wanted to give you some tips on how you might learn to deal with her. Now, first of all, Katarina relies on very high damage fast counter hit tools. She has one of the best standing 4s in the history of Tekken. If you don't know, her standing 4 is 11 frames, which is one of the fastest moves you can have in Tekken. And it leads to super high reliable damage every single time she counter hits with this move. What that means is that you cannot get impatient and press buttons when you're at any kind of frame disadvantage against her, because that's only going to get you launched. If you conversely turtle up on Katarina and become very defensive and you start blocking a lot of her attacks, what she's going to do for the most part, if the player is not a great Tekken player overall, is they're going to start relying on her big, chunky, sort of knockdown lows, and she has a bunch of these. Some of them lead to combos, some of them just knock you down, but they're generally super powerful, but they're all launch punishable on block. So what you need to do is train yourself to react to these moves, see them, visually react to them, and then block low, and that's going to allow you to launch her every time she uses them. So you turtle up and you wait for that big low, and you wait and you wait and you wait, and when it comes, you duck down, you crouch down, you block it, and then you launch her. And that's how you deal with kind of like a spammy, unnecessarily aggressive Katarina online. Outside of these moves though, I personally feel that Katarina is just a very fun kind of basic Tekken character to play. She has a generic moveset, above average movement, long range, really high damage, and some of the best combos in the game. I absolutely love her personally, and she was the first new character I learned in this game. I mained her for about the first 6 months of Tekken 7 here in Japan. I haven't used her recently, but I'm still comfortable with the character. One last tip before we jump into the gameplay. If you didn't know, I mean, I tend to listen to my own music when I play Tekken. But if you don't, train yourself to listen to Katarina and listen to her voice if you want to block her lows. Because if you didn't know this, it's kind of interesting. Human beings actually react to audio information slightly faster than they react to visual information. And so that means that if you can listen closely, Katarina has these voice cues before she does a big low, and if you can hear them and react to that instead of seeing the low, that's going to allow you to be slightly faster. So if you're one of those players like me who sometimes struggles with reaction time, that can be one way to sort of sharpen your low block game. But that's going to be it for the introduction of this character. I'm going to jump over to the gameplay now, and we're going to talk about how to play Katarina in this game.
Okay, so the place I want to start talking about Katarina is where I always start when I learn a new character in this game, which is I start learning from the fastest mid-poke that the character has available. And for Katarina, much like a lot of other characters, her fastest mid-poke is her down forward 1. This is a very standard 13 frame down forward 1, gives you a decent little frame advantage on hit, while not putting you at any kind of significant minus frames on block, which means that this is going to be your main pressure tool, opening up offense, ending the round. Great, just overall all-around tool. Now, Katarina's down forward 1 has an extension which is down forward 1-1. This is very similar to Miguel's down forward 1-1 that we've already talked about in previous videos. It's a mid into a high natural combo, which means that if you need a 13 frame block punisher that is mid, you can use this. It's not super significant damage or anything. Obviously the second hit is duckable, but it very rarely gets ducked as long as you mainly rely on the down forward 1 by itself and don't do this extension unnecessarily. One thing to note about the down forward 1-1 is it allows Katarina, if she holds forward, to go into her Harrier stance. And I'm going to talk about Harrier stance later. But in terms of the down forward 1-1 into Harrier, this is mainly used as a combo tool and not really something you need to worry about when you're just playing in the neutral game. So that's your down forward 1, and this is, I mean, it's a fantastic move. It's got longer range than, if you see that, it has kind of a little bit of ghost range. Like, like just the tip of her fingers is the tip of the range. So it's actually even useful as a keep out tool because the range is so above average. So great move. As you can see, it'll comfortably hit when you're spaced out at the beginning of the round, and it's yeah, it's one of your like main bread and butter moves. The next move I want to talk about is her jab strings. She's got 1-1 and 1-2, and these are basically the exact same thing. There is no significant difference between these moves. I mean, you get 17 damage for both of them, and then there's like an insignificant 1 frame difference in terms of frame disadvantage and advantage on hit and block respectively, but that's not really something you need to worry about right now. The main difference between these jab strings is that the 1-2 just comes out like that and does nothing, whereas the 1-1 can transition again into Harrier, which isn't super significant yet, and then she also has a couple of extensions. Now, you only really need to worry about 2 extensions for this move when you're new with Katarina, so I'm just going to mention them quickly here. The first one is 1-1-2. It's a high. The first 2 hits are natural, obviously, and cannot be ducked, but the third hit can very much be ducked, and so people who are scared of this move will get very good at ducking this very quickly. And so you have to be careful being over-reliant on this because it does get ducked sometimes. Now, the interesting thing about this move is that it actually gives you a completely ridiculous +7 on block. So if they block this move, you're at +7, which means that any kind of move your opponent does, if you just do a counter hit attack here, and I'm going to talk about her counter hit attacks later, you're always going to get a launch, which is very, very powerful. So this is just a generic way to set up counter hit tools with Katarina. Good players are not going to get hit by it, so this mainly works in the lower ranks, but it can be like an interesting way to start setting up counter hits with her when you're new to the character. The other extension is her 1-1-1, and the reason this is important is obviously it's a high mid, meaning it allows you to mix up your 1-1-2 with a mid option, and so this becomes a lot more useful against more experienced players who like to duck the final hit of your 1-1-2 string. And this 1-1-1 is only -5 on block. Typically a move like this I think would actually be punishable on block, but this move isn't, meaning that it is actually an above average jab string that allows you for some pretty interesting mix-up opportunities. Moving on to her next most important mid, in my opinion, it's down forward 4, which looks like this. This is a completely safe 15 frame mid that puts you at -9 on block, so like I said, it is safe. It's got above average range, and again it is a powerful counter hit tool for Katarina that is going to allow her to combo for a lot of damage, like that. So this is just like an alternative mid poke that is slightly slower, but if you think you might get a counter hit for some reason, it's a very decent option to throw out because it might allow you to launch your opponent. So this is actually it for your like basic mid game. And there are obviously things you can add to this, like back 1-2 and stuff like that, but you don't really need to worry about that initially. I think do a lot of down forward ones when you're new to this character, and even when you're not. I mean, it's such a great move. And then sometimes fish for a counter hit with down forward 4. These moves, I should mention, both have decent tracking as well, so your opponent isn't going to be able to sidestep them very reliably. So if that's your basic mid game, and then you've got your jab strings, which are great. Oh, before we move on to some lows, I'm just going to mention the fact that her 1 jab by itself has this 1-4 extension, and this is just a annoying little harassment tool that you can use to like end a round, or if your opponent is really turtling up on you and you're doing all this stuff and he's just blocking all of it, you can throw this in, and usually it's fast enough that they're not able to react to it, and you get a frame advantage and some damage, and then you can go into a mix-up. So 1-4 is a good little high into a low. Okay, so if we're going to talk about lows a little bit, I think I mean, Katarina famously has very good lows, but the problem is that she has fast low pokes that aren't super significant, and then she has big launch punishable super aggressive lows and not really anything in between. But the main low poke that I use and that I recommend is her down 3. This is decent range, just fast little low poke, It is one of those nice low pokes where you don't necessarily have to go into full crouch because she remains standing. And then you have two extensions if you want to use them. You've got down 3-3, which is a low mid that is punishable on block, and down 3-4, which is a completely safe but duckable low into a high. So it's that typical Tekken design where you have to choose between a duckable safe move or a punishable unduckable move. But yeah, mainly use down 3 by itself. It's a great little move and I really recommend it. If you need, you know, your low poke that's gonna crush highs and go into full crouch, my recommendation is down 4. It's a very generic move, but it's great, and Katarina is actually kind of dangerous when she's in full crouch, so this can be a decent option when you want to go into full crouch. I mean, down jab, down back 1, or down 4 is good to go into full crouch with Katarina. Yeah, we should actually probably talk about the fact that Katarina has a good full crouch mix-up right now. And the first thing I'm going to do before I go into that is we should talk a little bit about Harrier stance. So Katarina has this stance that was not super useful prior to the introduction of Tekken 7 Faded Retribution, but this stance actually got substantially buffed when we went over in that patch. And the reason I think it got buffed is that, okay, so Katarina has a couple of moves. The first one you need to know is Harrier. By the way, the manual input for this is forward 4. You do forward 1, this is Harrier 1. This is a safe high that causes that sort of corkscrewish stun on hit. As you can see, this is not a spin move, so you can't use this to spin your opponent, but it will wall splat and give you a massive frame advantage. But it is duckable and one of the only safe options you have out of this stance. You then have your Harrier 4, which is a punishable move that should mainly be used only as a combo ender. You have Harrier 3, which is a big seeable knockdown low that is launch punishable on block, so only use this when your opponent is frustrated or slow. You gotta be careful with this move. And then Harrier 2 is a punishable mid knockdown move that is mainly used as a floor break tool in combos. So all of these moves, as you can see, there's nothing super powerful here that allows you for great mix-ups or anything. But what they did in FR is they actually allowed her to get her 4-4-3, which is this move, one of Katarina's absolute best moves. It is a completely safe mid-long range counter hit launcher that crushes lows. And if you heard all of those properties I just mentioned, long range, mid, safe, low crushing counter hit launcher that knocks down a normal hit and gives you a guaranteed up back 4. I mean, it's such a fantastic move. Its only weakness is, of course, that it can be sidewalked because it's such a great move. Now that she can do it out of her Harrier stance, that means that it allows her to mix up, you know, her low, or just go into this stance and do a very safe, good, solid option. And so the input for this is Harrier up forward 3. The normal input for this move is just 4-4-3, but if you want to do the Harrier version, it's up forward 3. And this is going to be like the main tool you use if you're ever going to try and mix people up from Harrier. It's still not a super useful thing. People don't use Harrier all that much. It's mainly a combo tool, but it exists. And the reason I wanted to talk about that quickly before we go into full crouch is that the other significant buff to Katarina's Harrier stance is that if you hold down back in Harrier now, you can see instead of like doing a move, Katarina goes straight into full crouch. And this is so such a great thing because people are going to be like afraid of you know, this move and stuff, so they are liable to hesitate when they see her go into Harrier, and you do that and you use that hesitation to gain frame advantage, you know, an artificial frame advantage obviously. Go into full crouch, and when you're sitting here you can mix up your opponent very heavily. Look at her tits jiggle when I do this, that's ridiculous. This game has like an amazing tit engine, I guess. Well, whatever. So you do that, and when you're down here, you've got one main low to mix your opponent up, and it's a down forward, full crouch down forward 4. A very chunky, fast low that recovers very quickly. And so this is a move that you can just abuse if your opponent hesitates and just do over and over. It's chunky, it's big, but it's very punishable on block, so you got to be careful. And then your main mid that you mix this up with is the while standing 2, which is a very strong 15 frame while standing launcher that is reminiscent of Law's while standing launcher. It used to have about as much a knockback as Law's while standing launcher, but its knockback was slightly nerfed in this game, but it still has a significant amount of knockback, making it more less disadvantageous on block than you might think. But that's a good thing about her full crouch. She's got that, and she's got this, and she can go into this from her down 4, a single down jab, or from cancelling her Harrier stance into down back and going into full crouch. Or just run up on your opponent, do a lot of down 4 ones and then just duck, and that's going to allow you to mix them up from full crouch, which is very, very good. So I mentioned that Katarina has chunky lows and big lows, and the main one that you need to know about is her down back 3. This is an amazing move, and it's what you're going to use when when you're just poking like this a lot and your opponent is being defensive and blocking everything. You do down back 3 and you knock them down for a chunk of damage, and obviously you steal the positioning and you get Oki. Now the main Oki tool to use after this down back 3 is just to go straight into the 4-4-3 that I talked about briefly earlier. If they stay on the ground and they get up crouching, or they do a get up attack, you're gonna get a hit. If it counter hits and they do a get up attack, you get a launcher. But mainly, it's used for like hitting people who stay on the ground after a knockdown. This move is obviously very punishable on block, so you got to be super careful with being too obvious with it. But it's just in that range where most of the time, if you're not being too obvious, it's just fast enough that it does not get seen. Now the last thing and the most amazing thing about this move is that when you're at the wall like I am right now, even if you're quite far away from it and you do this knockdown, it doesn't knock the opponent far away, because the wall stops them, meaning that you can get a completely 100% guaranteed up back 4. This is completely guaranteed. There's nothing your opponent can do about it. They have to eat this up back 4, which means that down back 3 becomes a massive low at the wall. I mean, the damage output of just those 2 hits is insane. You get 24 from this and then 20 from that, so it's 44 damage guaranteed off of a single low. That's super good, but it also means that your opponent is going to be very afraid of you doing those at the wall, because they know that how powerful this is. And then that's great, because that allows you to use mids to mix up your opponent and get wall spats. But this is a great tool at the wall, and it's a great tool like everywhere. Also note that, as you can see by the animation, it has good tracking and hits people who are walking or moving horizontally. And then it also hits grounded opponents who are lying down on the ground. So amazing properties and just a great low overall. Can't recommend it enough, but don't get too obvious, because you will get punished. Okay, so we talked about really the most generic tools you need to know about, and the next thing I just want to bring up in terms of like neutral game and offense is this down for 2 string. I'm just going to confirm if this isn't changed in terms of frame data when we went into the console release. Let's see here. Okay, so down 4-2 is still a 17 frame mid. As you can see, it has very long range, and it is super good for opening up offense, especially from afar. And a great move that you can abuse a lot with her. And then it has 2 extensions. So the down forward 2-2 is a natural mid-mid combo. I mean, it does great damage, 38 damage. It has long range. It is such a good string, and it is your main tool, as you can see right there, for scoring wall splats with Katarina. So it's just an amazing move overall. It is punishable on block, but it is only -10, and so the worst thing that's going to happen when you do this move is you get, jabbed for the block punish, which is actually a very small price to pay, in my opinion, for what it does for you. You just got to be aware when you're playing against a character who has a very good 10 frame punisher, like maybe you're playing against Gigas, and then you got to be aware that, if you use this too much, then Gigas is going to be able to punish you kind of hard. But that's the main concern. Otherwise, just have fun using this move because it's so great. And then the other extension is almost even better. It's down forward 2-4. Sorry, 2-4. And so, as you can see, this is a high, meaning that it is duckable, and so this is how you create the mix-up with the string. This is, again, a punishable mid, and then you have a safe high that is duckable. And so that dichotomy sort of exists a lot in Tekken, but because you're going to mix these moves up, and I almost use them about half and half, about 50-50, it's going to be very hard for your opponent to predict whether or not they should be ducking this move. Now the great thing about down 4-2-4 is that, you know, it's a natural combo again, and it does good damage on hit, but on block, this actually gives you 1+ frame. And you know, moves that are plus on block in this game are very rare, but this does it. And if we set Lars to guard here, sorry. Alright, sorry, so does it need to be what? All guard? All guard, okay. What? Come on, Lars. Why aren't you blocking, dude? Oh, maybe it needs to be over here. Alright, sorry about that. So as you can see, this move puts you just at a perfect tip range for a standing 4 after a block. And you have 1+ frame, meaning that the only thing that your opponent can do that will trade with a standing 4, which we're going to talk about next, by the way, this is 11 frames, is a single jab. If they do any attack apart from a jab, you are going to get a counter hit launch from doing a standing 4 after this move on block. This is, again, not something that's going to work against experienced players, but it is very useful to set up counter hit tools against less experienced Katarina players. And again, a great tool for just scoring that wall splat as well. So now that we talked about Katarina's sort of neutral game, we need to talk about her most powerful tool and one of the best counter hit tools in the entire game, Katarina's standing 4. Now, Katarina's standing 4 is a 11 frame high counter hit move. 11 frames, as you probably know, is extremely fast, meaning that this move is great at interrupting and blowing opponents up. I guess I can just show you the counter hit properties real quickly. That is what it's going to look like when you get the counter hit with this move. And so the thing about this move, right, like I said, 11 frames and super fast, and it connects to this notorious string with Katarina, which is 4-4-4-4-4. So just 5 4s. When you're super new to Tekken and you don't know anything about spin moves and you can't do any kind of combo, you know, you can do that and you get like 54 damage, like a half decent combo. That is not something that I want you to do, because you're learning about proper Katarina play right now. So we're not going to spam this string or anything. What you want to do when you use this move is you want to press 3 times. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's the sort of main bread and butter with this move. You press 3 times, and what that is going to do is, as you can see, the first hit is high, meaning that it is duckable, but the second hit that comes out quite quickly is a mid, meaning that if your opponent ducks this, they're very liable to get hit by the second mid. So what's going to happen like 90% of the time when this move comes out is your opponent just blocks it. And if they block it, you're actually completely safe. I think you're at -5, which is not that bad at all. So I mean, you do this, you can get extremely high damage. If you get a counter hit, you get a launch. If your opponent blocks the first hit and gets hit by the second 2 hits, as you can see, that's only those 2 hits is like 30 damage, which is ridiculous. If they block, you're completely safe and they can't do anything to you. And so this is just like a super safe, super low risk, high reward string that is going to score you amazing damage with your combo game. I mean, it is one of the absolute best counter hit tools ever in Tekken. It is a little bit busted in my opinion. I hope they don't nerf it or anything, because she needs this. But it's such a great move, and she just does this all day. Obviously, be careful being too obvious because it is duckable, but yeah, just a very safe, great move overall. And this is mainly what you're setting up, like you're harassing your opponent with all the moves I mentioned up until this point. And then when you think they're getting impatient and it's time for them to press a button, you counter hit them with the standing 4. Just a note on the full 5 hits is that the last 2 hits of this string is a natural combo. So if we get some space here. That's too close. Oh, alright, it's right here. Yeah, those last two hits, as you can see, that's a natural combo for 46 damage, which is absolutely massive, meaning that every once in a while you can just finish the string, and if your opponent is impatient and they press a button after the first 3 hits, you can get the last 2 hits, and that's kind of like a cheap, shitty way of like ending a round and stuff, but that's not something that you should rely on all too much. Note also, obviously, that the fourth hit right there, that one is a high, and it's the slowest part of the string, meaning that if you do finish the string too much, that fourth hit is going to get ducked and you're going to get launched. So just be careful about that. Okay, so we talked about that. The really the last move that you need to know about, I mean, we talked about this, which is like your main gap closer and a great move from out far. You can go in and create mix-ups from Harrier. Mainly you're running in and doing down for 1 to open up offense. So the last tool I really want to talk about with Katarina that I want to recommend, that I don't see a lot of people using, but I think is very, very good, is her back 3+4, which is this move. It's her version of sort of like a backswing blow. I'm just going to double check the frame data on this move as well. Let's see here, back 3+4. Okay, this is a 23 frame mid hit. 23 is obviously kind of slow, but you're mainly using this move as a for its crush properties. As you can see, Katarina dips back a whole lot with this move, and so what you're doing with this move is like you're doing stuff up closer, you're harassing, and when your opponent suddenly is at a frame advantage and you think that they're going to do an attack, you can do this to dip back, and usually it's going to crush. I mean, it crushes a lot of highs, some mids, and this is a completely natural combo. You get the 30 damage for free if it hits. And also, more importantly, this move will actually, if we go to the wall, this move will actually wall splat. So I use this for Oki at the wall a lot. I will, like, you know, knock my opponent down with something like this, and then I will wait like a second for my opponent to get back up. And if I think they're gonna, you know, do a get up attack or get up crouching, I dip back and I do this and I score another wall splat. So it is a great tool. I absolutely love this move. The only thing to note about it is that, let's see here, back 3+4. Yeah, minus 17 on block, so it is very punishable, but the range on it is decent enough that it doesn't get punished all that hard all too often. It's safer than you would assume. Before we go into combo game and stuff, the last thing you need to know about with Katarina is up back 4. And I showed you earlier that down back 3 into up back 4 is a natural combo at the wall, but there are actually a lot of times with Katarina where you can get this very powerful up back 4 for free. The main use for it is that it's a very high damage mid that will hit opponents when they're lying down on the ground, and so if your opponent is on the ground and they don't want to get up, this is like your low hit option. I mean, it's not a low, but it hits them when they're on the ground low for Oki. And then after a 4-4-3, which I talked about being such a great move, you get a guaranteed up back 4. After up 3+4, which is a semi-useful minus 10 mid hit that you can use to sort of fake out a hop kick, you get a guaranteed up back 4, as you can see right there. And there are all these like scenarios where you can collect this up back 4 after a spike to get really good damage. You just gotta be careful with up back 4 because it is punishable. If we double check the frame data right here, up back 4 is minus 13 or 14 it says. So you're not gonna get launched most of the time or anything, but yeah, it's a very good move. Alright, so now that we talked about all that, let's talk about some combo game with Katarina. Again, this is kind of where she shines. I chose a big stage this time, so we don't have to switch. I'm gonna just do normal combos, and then I'm gonna show you wall combos baked into like the same area or the same section. So Katarina has a 15 frame hop kick. It's very standard. This is a natural combo. The only thing that is like different about it is it's one of those hop kick that hits twice, much like Elisa. But it's above average range. It's a very good hop kick, and it's like her main launcher that isn't a counter hit move. And so what you do for a combo after this is going to be my recommended combo option for like everything. whether you want to wall carry or anything else, I think you should learn this. It's like the just overall best option for Katarina players, in my opinion. And it's I'm going to show it first. Okay, messed it up, of course. Okay, finally. I mean, when you're under pressure, it's really hard to do combos for some reason. I don't know. Alright, now it's coming out nicely. So, that, spin with this, run up. Okay, there it is. As you can see, 65 damage. That's 66. The last point of damage is just the wall splat damage. So very high damage, very, very good wall carry. And so what the combo is, you're going to do the hop kick, the normal hop kick, 2 hits into a down 2. You then do her down forward 1 poke. You spin with down forward 2 4. You then run up and do another down forward 1. You got to run kind of deep. You do another down forward 1. After the down forward 1, you do down 2 and you hold forward, which allows you to go into Harrier, and you finish the combo with Harrier 4. And this string actually has great wall carry potential, so you don't need to modify this combo at all when you're looking for the wall. So if I can show that here. Oh, come on. Why? Alright, sorry about the ring rust, guys. So as you can see, that combo allows you to do wall combos without modifying the combo whatsoever, which means it is a great option because you can always use it in the open with the wall without any kind of like modification or whatever. If you are closer to the wall than this, say at your maybe like something like this range, her 2-2, which is her 12 frame block punisher, and it's a really good 12 frame block punisher, and a spin move, can be used as sort of a semi-range wall splat spin option. So say for example I'm at this range and I launch my opponent. Okay, I was a little bit too far away, but as you can see, this works really well. That's sort of like a mid-range spin option for wall conversions, and it's just 2-2. Okay, so that's the hop kick. The next thing we're going to talk about, and one of the most important things, is the, like I said, the 3 hits you do with your counter hit standing 4. That's very bread and butterish with you. So you do this, you do the standing 4 3 hits, then you spin with a 2-2 that I just showed you, and then you run up and you do the exact same ender that I showed you earlier. Down forward 1, down 2, hold forward, Harrier 4. So let's see if it hits. Alright, so as you can see, a very decent damage, very good wall carry. You just gotta be careful again that you do the deep run up after the spin move. And as long as you do that deep run, this combo is gonna hit reliably every single time, so that's very good. One thing to note is that when you're at tip range for the counter hit 4, like out here, it's kind of hard to get the ender that I showed you this time, and so what you can do to convert if you think that it's going to whiff, say if like I'm maybe at this range. Okay, that was too far away. Yeah, is that you can just run up and do a back 2, sorry, a back 1, hold forward and then do Harrier 4, and that's kind of like an easy ender option when you don't want to do the, when you think that you're not going to be able to have time to connect with the down forward 1 into the down 2, right? So that's your counter hit 4 combos, and then the last thing you need to know, I guess, is your while standing 2, because this is your last like bread and butter main launcher. So what I do for this move is I do the exact same combo I do for the hop kick, only the first down 2, because like I said, the hop kick is hop kick, down 2, down forward 1, spin. With this move, if you do the down 2, it's not going to connect properly. As you can see, the combo counter ends. So what you do is you substitute the down 2 for just another down forward 1. So you do launch, down forward 1, down forward 1, and then you spin. And so it looks like this. And so that's super reliable, good damage, and it works great every single time. So that's my main recommendation for that. I should mention, I guess, that, you know, this move, up back 3, which is kind of like a boss to the wall, high damage option, long range option you have instead of a hop kick. Like when you really know that you're going to be able to crush a low, you can use this instead of a hop kick. And you have to do the exact same combo with the down forward 1 off of this, like that. But yeah, that's it. Oh, and I guess I can show you, I talked about counter hit down forward 4 earlier, which is another great move with Katarina. With that, it's the exact same combo again, like from the hop kick. It works reliably, and I'm you know, I don't like talking about sweeps because I don't think you should use them. I don't like them, and I don't think they should be in Tekken. But she has a down back 4 snake edge. And the combo you do off of that is the same as off of the hop kick. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go into this move deeply because I don't recommend anybody ever relying on these moves. They are kind of like a cancer for the online environment, in my opinion. Alright, so we talked about all of that, and before we wrap this up, let's talk about some wall game. Now, I mentioned that Katarina's main wall splat tool is her down 4-2-2 and her down 4-2-4. Great options. You can also use the the back 3+4 that I talked about earlier, but it's less safe. It works really well. And then for your wall combo, the main thing that Katarina players use is a single jab into a down forward 1 into an up back 4 like that. That's 63 damage, as you can see, off of this particular wall splat move. Great damage, very reliable, works great every single time. A high level advanced option that some players use is they will do a she has a down 3+4 stomp like that. That's obviously only going to come out when your opponent is launched or on the ground. And if you do a very specific amount of delay after a wall splat, so you like wait and then you do the stomp, you can get a guaranteed up back 4 after the stomp. That is theoretically the highest damage wall combo that you can ever get with Katarina, but the timing is so specific that even the most advanced Katarina players in the world mess it up a lot. What they tend to do is they put in a single sidestep after the wall splat, and that usually allows them to gauge, like they have a specific length they like for the sidestep, and they know that if I do a sidestep this far and then do the stomp, the timing is going to be perfect. Don't worry about that if you're new to this character. It's not even an option I would recommend for high level players simply because it's so inconsistent. But if you want to get the highest damage option possible, that's something that you got to practice how to do. Now another option sorry, that you have for a wall splat combo is that, as you can see, that is your highest damage like vanilla combo option. It's down for 1-1, hold forward Harrier 4. The reason you don't see people use this all that much is that it doesn't give you very good recovery. Katarina recovers kind of slowly, which doesn't allow her to apply Oki. And another thing about it is sometimes it will actually jump over the opponent, and it will put you in a position when your back is to you are close to the wall, your opponent is behind you, and your back is turned to them, which can be a vulnerable position. If that happens, I mean, you can do like back turn stuff, like you can do like a back turn hop kick, and you can use that as kind of like a mix-up thing like that, but it's not really important. Mainly use this if you need that little bit of extra damage because you're at the end of the round. But mainly, I think the best option you have is just do that. It's great, and it works super reliably. And then the last thing we should talk about here is that Katarina has, if we go into Rage right now, Katarina has a useful Rage Drive. And her Rage Drive is Harrier 1+2. So it's just her normal Harrier 2, only if it hits, it goes into a this sort of weird attack throw. As you can see, does a big chunk of damage. Now this doesn't work and doesn't do a lot of damage if you just do this as a normal combo ender or anything. What this is used for is it gives you, for some reason, a huge amount of damage when it's done after a wall spat. So if you're in range with Katarina and you get a wall combo, you can use this to just make your combo a lot more powerful. And it works after a normal combo into a wall combo, and it works after a normal wall spat. So this is what it looks like. So as you can see, I got 95 damage, which is absolutely massive, just off of that little sequence. I mean, my combos are really rusty with Katarina, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this from like half screen, but if we try just a couple of times. Okay, let's try again. Oh, come on. Alright, so that's 115 damage. That wasn't even an optimal combo. It is some of the most insane combo damage you're ever going to see in Tekken 7, and it comes from using Katarina's Rage Drive after a wall spat, which is how that move is used, and it's not really useful outside of that. I can just mention quickly, I suppose, that her Rage Drive is just a very generic punishable mid-range drive. It looks like this. It's super cool. And nothing special about it. The last thing I'm gonna talk about before I end this tutorial is that I have an alternative combo that you will see me do in some of my gameplay videos on Katarina that I do after a hop kick in the open. That is actually a better damage option, but it does not give you any kind of like wall carry. It's because this is like an old vanilla combo that Katarina used to use before FR. So because I was playing Katarina in the vanilla release of Tekken 7, I used this combo, and it's still sort of in my muscle memory, so it comes out every once in a while, but the way it looks is like this. So you can see that's 65 damage, sorry, 67 damage, which is kind of like the optimal damage combo off of her hop kick still. And so what I did there is just I did that, the normal hop kick, and then I spin with 444, which is Katarina's only homing move. You don't need to know about this move. It's not super useful or anything, but it's like a high damage, chunky mid homing option. That is a little bit too slow in my opinion. But you do that, and then you run up. You do 444, hold forward into Harrier. You do Harrier 1, like that. And then you end with a generic up back 4. So I just thought I'd show you that, because if you watch my gameplay footage on Katarina, that comes out every once in a while, and if you're curious, that's how I do it. So that's going to conclude my Katarina tutorial. Very basic and fun character. If you want to know how to play against her, check out what I talked a little bit about in the character intro. But I love this character. I think you should check her out as well. Easy to use, high damage, cool combos, amazing rage drive. So yeah. Thank you again so much for watching all my videos, guys. I'm having a lot of fun making them, and I appreciate every single comment. I'm gonna try and make like a video a day during the next couple of weeks, so definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.